Hi guys, Star Lordess here. I'm doing this special video in honor of the 2 years that I've been here on YouTube. I published my first video 2 years ago during Aries season, and it's been quite the wild ride, let me tell you. But I figured I would do this video, it's sort of like my bio, my life story in a nutshell. Kind of thing, so that you guys who have been following me, especially those of you who've been following me and have now become my friends for a very long time now, you all write to me, and let me know what's going on in your lives. And I've gotten to know a lot of you very well, and I thought it was only fair for me to sort of bring you a little bit of insight into my life and kind of where I came from and where I'm at right now and where I'm headed. So what I will start out with is, I guess I'm going to start with the very beginning. I was born wee and young back in the day. I won't tell you exactly when, but I was born in Eastern Canada, in Montreal. And here I'll show you a picture of me with my dad. This is me as a baby. And unfortunately, that would be the only photograph I would ever have taken with him, as my father was killed when I was 2 years old. So here's a picture of me with my mom. Maybe that was about a year after that it was taken with my dad. So, unfortunately, I lost both of my parents. I was orphaned by the time I was the age of 14, lost my dad when I was 2, lost my mom when I was 14. My mother had been ill for a great number of years, and unfortunately, she passed away one morning when my older sister and I were in the house, and we found her that morning. Very tragic, very sad situation. Fortunately, I had, my brother and sister were older. They were of legal age and could take custody of me at that time, so I didn't end up having to go to foster care or anything like that. And when I was really young, my sister and brother and I, after my dad was killed, we were sent to go live with my aunt in central Canada for a few years. And this is a picture of me then, when I was a little munchkin. And then this is a picture of myself and my brother. You can see, nice glasses, huh? You can see it was kind of a strict, rather religious household. At my aunt's place, we were raised Protestant and went to Sunday school and to church on Sundays and the whole 9 yards, what you do when you're a kid. Later on, my mother came to retrieve us when I was in grade 2, I believe it was, and moved us back to Eastern Canada. And we lived with her for the duration until she moved us back to Central Canada, which was where she was from. My father was from Eastern Canada. She was from Central Canada. And she moved us back to Central Canada after a few years. And that's where she ended up ultimately passing away. And what happened after that was my brother and sister and I, after her death, moved to Ottawa, Canada's capital, where we lived with my Uncle Bill. And he was a confirmed bachelor. He was my father's younger brother, never married, confirmed bachelor. And you can imagine now he's got these three young adults. My brother and sister were young adults, and this teenager living with him, which we were eternally grateful for that. After losing our mom and you know, growing up without a dad. He was very prominent in our life anyway, although when we were moved away from Eastern Canada, because he resided there, we didn't see much of him for a few years. But after my mother's death, we went to live with him, and he provided a home for us. And like I said, we were eternally grateful for it. We really needed it. We needed that sort of guidance and that feeling of a parent being there, as obviously it was a very devastating time in our lives. And here's a picture of me with my Uncle Bill later when I was a little bit older and we were in Las Vegas. There he is. As you can see, I had dark hair when I was younger, sort of ash brown. It just became lighter, and I started sort of coloring it and streaking it as the years went on, and preferred the blonde, and I've been blonde for many, many, many years now. But yes, getting back to my Uncle Bill, who was an amazing person. You know, he was definitely a father figure. He was somebody who was very prominent in my life, and I loved the man dearly. And not only was he my uncle slash father figure, but he was also, throughout the years, he remained a good friend of mine. He was a mentor. He was an amazing guy, a great philosopher. He loved to read, and he had an opinion on pretty much everything. He gave me my love of reading. I never read much as a kid, but after spending time with him, he loved books so much, and he would lend me some of his books to read, and I became an avid reader, and very much into philosophy and psychology and so forth. He was a very intelligent man. Like I said, I was very, very close to him, as well as my brother and sister. We were kind of like, it was us against the world back then, you know, after losing parents, and we just sort of became very attached to one another. I have a very incredible family history, but I'm not going to get into that in this video, because I do plan on writing a book one day about my very rich family history on my father's side. It's an incredible story. But getting back to, you know, growing up with these circumstances, they were very challenging, very difficult, as you can imagine. But thank God for my family, my Uncle Bill here, my brother and sister, as well as my other uncles who also lived in Eastern Canada. My dad's younger brother, Bobby, also lived there as well at the time when I was, you know, a teenager, and was very close to him, and had a lot of really, really good times with him, and he brought a lot of enjoyment into my life. He was a very entertaining fellow. As a matter of fact, he was an entertainer. I do actually have a lot of family members that were in the public eye and entertainers. Again, I'll get into that more when I write my book. But yes, I want to you know, get back to my family situation. I do have another photograph here, taken with my brother. This is my older brother and I. He was very much into hockey, and when I was young, I loved everything. We were very close, so I loved everything he loved, and he was into hockey. He got me into hockey, which I used to watch on a regular basis and cheer for the team. The Montreal Canadiens, of course, all the way. And he played hockey, my brother, not professionally, but in these certain leagues that he belonged to. And you know, hockey for a lot of years was a big part of his life, and I played hockey with him. I learned everything I knew about hockey from him. And later on, my sister and I were at a hockey game, and we're lucky enough to meet. Any of you hockey buffs out there might recognize this guy, Randy Carlisle. There's my sister and I with Randy Carlisle. We were at a game one time, and one of my uncle's friends knew him and introduced us, and we got to take a photo with him. He then played for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Later on came to coach the Winnipeg Jets. So he was around for a long time, amazing hockey player and a really, really nice guy. We got to know him and really had some good times with Randy Carlyle. He's such a funny guy. Now, moving on to, since the past probably 15 years or so, I don't really watch hockey that much anymore. I did recently last year get into hockey when the Winnipeg Jets were actually in the playoffs. So living in Winnipeg at the time, you know, I was definitely down with everybody else, all the fans here, because it was a pretty big deal. So I don't really watch or keep on top of hockey as much as I used to, but I used to really, really, really love the game. I used to even buy the hockey news back in the day. I was right into it. I could tell you all the stats and the scores and so forth. Yep, very much into it. So, moving along, a few years later, after we were living in Ottawa for quite a few years, my brother moved back to Western Canada, and because his oldest daughter was about to be born. And so that's where he ended up settling and resided there as he had his family and his family grew, and that's where he was living. As for my sister and I, we decided to sort of roam around. We did extensive traveling for many years. I was a young adult. I guess I was just trying to find myself back then. And same thing with my sister. We never really felt, I guess, at home. We tried to live in various different cities. We were going across the country, trying to figure out which place we felt like we belonged. I think we were just doing some kind of soul searching. And then I guess I found my niche, I guess, at the time. I was always very interested in music. Even as a child, I loved music and I loved dance, and I had taken voice lessons and piano lessons as a teenager, as well as dance, and I just loved music. One day I decided in the 80s that I was going to become a pop star. So formed a band as the primary songwriter. I wrote lyrics, and then we always found musicians to write the music and so forth. And then later we formed a band, and we were a recording band, and we were called Natural 7. And we went into the studio, recorded a 45. Back in the day, that's what you recorded, and as well as many demo tapes, and sent them out to recording studios and so forth, and had somewhat of a success. I'm going to show you a picture here of Natural 7. This is my sister and I, and the 4 guys. There's myself, my sister. This is the bass player, the drummer, and this is the keyboard player and the guitar player. This was when we were first a band together. Now, this keyboard player here, Tony, is now my husband, and the guitar player right beside there is now my sister's husband. That's my brother-in-law. And so the 4 of us are, you know, long time been together. They've been together for as long as Tony and I have been together. So, yeah, that was us in our little 80s band back in the day. We had a blast. We had somewhat success with Natural 7. We played different shows, many shows. We were interviewed by some of the local TV personalities at the time. We also were nominated for a Casby Award, Canadian Artist Selected by You, as Best Independent New Artist. We didn't win, but you know, as they say, it's quite the honor to be nominated anyway. As a matter of fact, in my playlist, I do have one of the Natural 7 songs listed there if you want to listen to it. But that was part of the duo group. The band, the nucleus of the band broke up after a couple of years, and then Tony and myself just formed a duo group and went on to do many recordings, never really published anywhere. They were played on local radio stations and so forth, the usual things that you do when you're a musician. And as a songwriter, an arranger, and excuse me, I was the songwriter. Tony was the keyboard player, so he wrote the music, and we both did the arranging and producing of several music compositions, which we still have now, probably about 20 of them that we have recorded and put it on a CD. And let's see, what happens after that? Well, after the band sort of split up because we went on to, you know, lead grown-up lives. My sister and the guitar player were married and went on with their lives, and Tony and I were continuing to do music for a while, but then we just started to, you know, basically live our lives, our jobs. We were both working part-time back then, and so now we were into more full-time jobs, and you know, we had a home and we had a life, and we were, you know, carrying on trying to be adults. And I guess, yeah, that's what we did for quite a while. I had some setbacks. 1999 going into 2000, I found out that I was pregnant. Tony and I were about to have a child, and 3.5 months into the pregnancy, I lost the baby, and was very devastated by that experience, because I was sort of getting ready at that time for motherhood and to, you know, go into adult life and all of that stuff, because we had the home, we had the pets, we had the everything, and all we needed was the children now. Unfortunately, that ended in tragedy, and in 2000, May of 2000 actually, I was about to, well, the doctor told me my due date was May the 5th, and on May the 4th, my beloved Uncle Bill had a massive heart attack and died. So again, devastation. It was unbelievable. The miscarriage, and then followed by, you know, Uncle Bill's passing. And then 4 years later, my brother, whom I was very, very close to, had been diagnosed with lung cancer in 2004. And it was a very difficult road. We tried everything we could in the family. He fought, you know, as far as he could. He did everything right. He did everything by the book. But in the end, he lost his battle with lung cancer, and it was a really, really rough time for all of us. We were absolutely devastated. He was young. He left behind 4 children who were, I mean, adults for the most part, except for the youngest one. She was only 14. And I know what it's like to lose a parent at age 14. It's tough. You're going through changes as it is, you know, let's face it, you know, young adolescence is a difficult time. And to lose a parent during that time, it's really, really confusing and very hard to handle. Pardon me, I'm welling up a little bit. I'll just... have a sip of my coffee here. Okay, getting back to my brother here, I just want to show you from my photo album back in the day when we had photo albums. Today everything's on digital. But there's my brother in the top corner there. And this is his son, my nephew Billy, right beside him. And then below is, this one over here is Tanya. And then this is Jackie, and this is Tabitha. These are his 4 children who have kind of become my kids. I call them my kids now. They're absolutely incredible, and I'm so glad that my brother had children. He lives on through these guys. And I'm so proud of all of them, and I'm so proud of my relationship with them. The oldest one here, Jackie, she now lives in California. This was one of her modeling pictures. She was a model, beautiful, beautiful girl, inside and out. Some of you may recognize her from that show, The Biggest Loser. She was on there 5 years ago. And my nephew, my brother's son, is grown up now and actually is quite well known as John C. He's a rap artist and won several awards a few years back with his band, Winnipeg's Most. And the 2 youngest ones, Tanya and Tabitha. Amazing young ladies, and I think my brother would be so proud to see the amazing adults that they all are right now. I knew I wouldn't be able to get through this without a few tears, but I mean, hey, that's real. And I want to show you a picture of Tony and I back when we had first met, again, the 80s. This was late 80s. This is Tony and I. And this is Tony and I 7 years ago on St. Patrick's Day when we got married. Yeah, I know we had a long engagement. We were busy. We were very, very busy people. We got married on St. Patrick's Day. I grew up Irish, Canadian. My uncles, my Irish family, my dad's family was very Irish and very proud. When we were kids, I remember my uncle taking us to the St. Patrick's Day parade and telling us all about our Irish heritage. And don't mind me, I'm okay. I just had an emotional moment. Yes, he told us all about our Irish heritage, and I'm very proud to be Irish. I have never visited Ireland yet. I hope to one day. It is sort of like on the bucket list. I want to go and visit Ireland and see all the beautiful places that my grandmother, grandfather were from there. And yes, I think I need to move on to another subject here. About my religious views. This is an interesting story. When I was young, like I said, you remember that we went to Sunday school, raised Protestant. We were, you know, my parents were Protestant, my aunt was Protestant, my uncles, everybody in my family. As I was, except for my mother, for whatever reason, she never really practiced any kind of religion. She was more of a, I guess you would call spiritualist, if you will. She was a spiritualist, definitely. A very psychic woman, extremely psychic. She would predict a lot of things I remember as a kid, and they would come to pass. She had a history of that, according to my aunts and uncles as well. She taught me, I remember, as I think I was maybe 10 or 11, she taught me how to read cards with playing cards. And I was fascinated by that. By the time I was like 12, 13 years old, I was right into astrology. I think that was the only books that I would read when I was younger, was actually astrology books. Astrology had always fascinated me. And throughout the years, I couldn't get enough. To this day, I'm still a student of astrology. I love astrology. I cannot get enough of it. I have taught even my own astrology classes a couple of years ago to a group of friends who were interested in it. So, you know, kind of went to basic. Astrology can be extremely complex, but a lot of people I know are interested in sort of like understanding it from layman's terms, and so I was pretty good at that. I've been a mentor to a lot of people. I've been mentoring younger people because of my vast life experiences. It kind of made me a good mentor to young people, because there's not a lot of experiences that I haven't gone through myself or haven't known personally. I'm very close to my family. I'm very close to my friends. I have friends that I've had for many, many, many years. Family friends, longtime family friends. I'm very happy to you know, say this. Maybe not everybody can say this, but in my life, I've been very lucky to have had really close relationships with most of my family members. I've had really, really close friends who I've had like deep and long-standing relationships with. Even to this day, I have a close circle of friends that I'm super, super tight with. I believe that we can learn a lot about ourselves by having tight relationships. And I have learned so much. And I'm so grateful for these people in my life. My nieces and nephews bring such enjoyment to my life. You have no idea. Even though they're all older now, they all have wonderful kids of their own. I enjoy a good, close relationship with them. I enjoy a close relationship with my sister, with my cousins. When my brother was around, him and I were super close. That is why it was so heartbreaking to lose him. My uncles, I was very, very close to them as well. Unfortunately, most of my family members have, you know, passed away, come from a tragic Irish history. It seems like they say that the Irish do, even though we're Irish descent, do seem to encounter a lot of tragedies in their lives. And I do feel that, you know, for my family, that's definitely been the case. But I'm here today basically to talk to you guys about that. I mean, so many of you write to me about, you know, the struggles you're going through and the things you're going through. I have gone through a lot of it myself. That's why I have so much empathy and compassion for other people and understanding. And I don't judge people, because I know what it's like to be on that side. I know what it's like to be ecstatically happy, and I know what it's like to be extremely sad and to go through loss and to deal with physical pain and to deal with just the ups and downs of life. It's incredible. Like, I should be getting back, I guess, to the part I was talking about, the religious views and my background. Well, I started off with, like I said, the Sunday school, which I've always embraced. I've always embraced religion. I've always found peace. I liked being in churches. I liked being, you know, singing gospel and doing all of that other stuff. I love churches. I embrace all types of religion. I'm always happy to be in a place that, you know, promotes peace and love and unity. And I have, amazingly enough, you know, 7 years ago, when Tony and I got married, he was raised Catholic, and we got married, and I had never been baptized because my father was killed when I was young, and I never got a chance to be baptized. So I grew up most of my life without, you know, any baptismal, and I thought it was odd because everybody else I knew had been baptized. So marrying a Catholic, I decided to get baptized and to get married in the church where we got married. And so I was baptized Catholic 7 years ago. And it was quite the experience. They even brought in the Archbishop from Toronto, Canada, flew in for my baptismal because they considered it very odd or exceptional, more so than odd, I think. But it is an odd occurrence where someone of, you know, older age is able to make a decision to consciously, you know, get baptized in any faith. But I was baptized Catholic and went through that experience. It was an incredible experience. And I was still, I think, trying to find my way. Like I said, being raised Protestant, and then having a spiritualist mother, and then trying to find my way. My sister and I, years ago, when we were moving from place to place, we lived in several different places, and like I said, we were trying to find ourselves and find a home and a place where we felt at home, until we finally settled in central Canada, back where our family was, where my brother was, and my Uncle Bill was living central Canada at the time too. So this is where our family was. And we eventually, after 7 years of living out of a suitcase, eventually settled home with our family, because I think we realized at some point, no matter where you go, there you are. Maybe we were trying to run away and find a place that would make us happy, and a place where we would feel at home. But then we realized home was where the heart is, and you can't run away from who you are. If you're feeling unrest and unsettled, you need to settle those things within, and then you can be happy pretty much anywhere. So during our travels, where at one point we were living in Houston, Texas, I learned to drive there. I went to the Lone Star School of Driving, lived in Florida, for Fort Lauderdale, Florida for a spell of time, and then Alexandria, Virginia for a summer. And we were just constantly moving around until we finally settled. But at one point during our travels and trying to find ourselves, we found ourselves in this very spiritual point where we were trying to understand, I guess, the paranormal and things like that. That is where I first learned about reading tarot. I came across a store, a metaphysical bookstore, that sold books on everything from astrology. Of course, my love of astrology drew me there. And I found some really good astrology books there, as well as books on reincarnation, and they sold tarot cards there as well. So I bought my first deck there, and I learned to read tarot back then, and got right into it. And then for many years, both my sister and I actually read tarot for, you know, family, friends, for groups and so forth. And I was also very much into psychometry, which is where you feel the energies off of people's jewelry and things like that, and you kind of go into mediumship from doing that. And then I don't know, it was like about a year of that kind of studying and intensely getting involved in it, and maybe I just sort of did it too much. Being an empath, I found I got really, really drained. And so after a little while, I felt like I needed to back off from it and understand how to protect myself as an empath so I wouldn't get so drained. Did that sort of work for a while, as studying more Eastern philosophy and that kind of thing. And then at the end of it all, sort of really grew spiritually from the whole experience. But like I said, we had now moved back to the family fold, and then shortly after that got involved with the music and just sort of taken a different road, but always taking that spiritual experience with me and continuing to practice tarot throughout that. But again, at this point, I was just doing it periodically for friends, for fellow musicians and things like that. And eventually I stopped reading tarot when all of this stuff had happened, when my uncle and brother had passed away, and like once the 2000s had kicked in, I sort of left it behind me for a while and was just sort of searching. And I guess that's why I came upon, in later years, I came 7 years ago, went to the church and decided to go through the baptismal, because I think I was feeling a crisis point. I didn't know where I was going. Was I religious? Was I spiritual? What was I? I was trying to figure it all out back then. And like I said, I've always accepted and have not judged other religions and other spiritual groups. I've always embraced it and found something interesting and something to take away for myself with all of this. So now finding myself in a situation where this, you know, the religion, it's almost like I went back to square one again. And I was back to the religious beginnings, only now practicing Catholic religion as opposed to Protestant religion. And I found that that gave me solace for a while. I really enjoyed it, actually. Tony and I went to the church. It was right up the street from where we lived. And went to the church and every Sunday that, you know, we could make it there, and really found great enjoyment there for a while. And then that's the church that we ended up getting married in, and had a wonderful experience there. It was the great St. Patrick's Day wedding. And then after something happened after that, the church was sold and a different church group moved in there, and I was sort of finding myself struggling again because I was looking for something. Spiritually, I felt I needed to go in a direction, in some direction. I wasn't finding what I was fully looking for. Although, again, I appreciated all the experiences. I then found the law of attraction. Believe it or not, that kind of changed my life. When I came across the Abraham Hicks teachings on YouTube, it opened up my eyes in such an incredible way. You have to understand that in 2000 through 2004 was a very, very difficult time for me. And I think I got lost. I had become a little bit self-destructive, if you will, during that time. I was having trouble coping. I was trying to be the rock and the stone for everyone else who was hurting and felt the void. And I was trying to be so strong for them. And yes, it did, you know, definitely it helped strengthen the bond between myself and my brother's children. However, I think that I was covering up my own pain and I wasn't really healing. So I found that the law of attraction helped me to deal with all of that. I did this 30-day challenge, which you kind of basically have to, everything you've learned up until now that isn't working for you, learn to just basically let it go. And when I did, it opened up a whole new world for me. I then went on to discover meditation, and I had always known about meditation, but I didn't really know how to do it. YouTube opened up an entire world for me for that, because on YouTube, everything I needed was right there at my fingertips. All I had to do was think about what I wanted to learn, and there it was. The law of attraction started the whole thing for me, because it taught me how to, not care about what other people think of you, because if you do, you're already sunk. And this is what I think I've mentioned to you guys in the how to start a YouTube channel. And that is why I started my YouTube channel. And why I can keep going is because I learned so much from following the law of attraction philosophies. I learned how to cope with grief, cope with sadness, and not let it ruin you and not let it wreck your life. I mean, like all of you, I have experienced heartbreak, loss, physical, haven't even gotten into my physical background yet, but I've endured a lot of physical ailments and pain, and I've learned to manage that because of my use of meditation and yoga and so forth, which was all open to me because I opened my mind first with the law of attraction and then got back into my spiritual roots, which is where I sit right now. I embrace all. I can't tell you what I am. I cannot define what I am. I don't like being put in a box or the whole doctrine of religion and so forth. That's why I steer clear of it. I embrace all of it, spirituality and a lot of different religious philosophies. I embrace a lot of it, and I feel that it makes me more of a well-rounded person to do so. I don't dismiss anything completely. I always try to keep an open mind and give things a chance, and then I find what works for me. And this is what I found so far that has worked for me, is this sort of open philosophy on life, and understanding oneself is so important. And that's what I've realized through, this has been a voyage of self-discovery for me. And going through everything that I went through has brought me to where I am right now. And that's why I'm able to do this YouTube channel. And this is why I'm able to help a lot of you through card readings. I've recently gotten back, well, about 2.5 years ago, I got back into reading tarot again after a lot of years of not doing it. I had to reschool myself on it, and I feel that I'm a better tarot reader today than I've ever been because of the volume, the amount that I do it, and I read technically and intuitively. So I've always been an extremely intuitive person. My life has been guided by mostly intuition. And I feel that I'm where I'm at right now because of not giving up and not stopping when I couldn't find my comfortable place in the dogma, in the religion, and in other studies that I did. I felt no qualms about walking away from something that didn't feel right. I always try to listen to my gut instincts, to my intuition. It is so important. We all have it inside of us. If we can just trust that, we can go so much further on our journey instead of always worrying about if we're doing the right thing. You know, your intuition is never going to lead you astray. I've learned that, and I've learned to trust my intuition now. I didn't always. It's something that I think comes with trial and error and with time, helping me to get into where I can really find my intuition, my intuitive place is yoga and meditation. That's the ones area where I can get there. It doesn't happen overnight, guys. You know, it didn't happen for me. It took a lot of years of doing this. I had to train myself in the art of meditation. I had to train myself to my body to be able to move with all the physical restrictions and ailments I have in my body. It was not easy, but I found a way to make it work for me. And I'm very happy today that I did, because I don't know how I would have gotten where I'm at right now without doing that. I had to put in the work, absolutely. You can't try meditation twice and say, oh, it's not for me, it doesn't work for me. It's like anything else. It's like working out. You have to put in the time, and you have to train your muscles to go the way that you want them to go. Same thing with the mind and the spirit. You have to work with it, and you have to be patient with yourselves. And that's what I learned to do, is to be patient with myself and to give myself the break. Like I said, I started opening my eyes with the law of attraction, the Abraham Hicks in particular, the videos that are on YouTube. That's what started it all for me, and YouTube opened up a whole new world for me. I suffered in the past from extreme highs and lows. I am a Scorpio, right? So my emotions are incredibly intense, and I've suffered in the past from deep depression. I've suffered from physical ailments, from crises, all kinds of crises, and I've managed to get through them. I credit the people and the wonderful relationships that I have in my life. Don't ever underestimate relationships. They're super important. I think we learn a lot about ourselves and the world through these relationships that we have, close ties. These people in my life have been an incredible source of support, and the people who are in my life today, I don't know what I would do without them, honestly. They have been so amazing, and they've been so supportive of my journey, especially over the last few years. A lot of the close people in my life know what I have been through, obviously, and have been there and tried to support me and understand the things that I've gone through. Look, I'm not a perfect person. None of us are. We are always striving to become the best version of ourselves. We all have a shadow side. I have one too. I have made errors and judgments and made mistakes along my path. Well, I don't really believe in mistakes. I believe they're all learning lessons, but what people would call mistakes, I've made them. We've all made them, because to be human is to err, right? And a lot of you have asked about this. Some think it's a chalk that I hold in my readings. This is actually just a crystal that I picked up when I first started my channel. And I noticed that when I hold it, it helps keep my concentration in the place where I need it to go. So that is why I hold on to it when I'm doing readings, because it helps my focus, and that's why I'm holding on to it now, so that I can stay focused on continuing. It's very hard to sort of sum up your life in you know, a 45-minute, 1 hour video, but and this is just scratching the surface. This is obviously not my whole life. These are just, I'm giving you like a complete insight into me here, and I figured it's only fair, because a lot of you have, you know, laid yourself bare to me and have told me what your the challenges that you're going through and the things you're facing. And so I just wanted you to know, this is the real me. My name was, I was born Deborah Sunday Robin, and those are my two middle names, Sunday Robin. And my mother always told the story about how my father wanted to, or my mother wanted to call me Sunday as my first name, and my dad said, no, she'll get teased in school, so, you know, give her a normal name. Little did he know that Sunday is pretty tame compared to the names that, you know, were about to come out as normal names. But anyway, she named me Deborah after her favorite actress, I guess, from back in the day, Deborah Carr. So my real name is Deborah. You all know me as Star. I picked the name Star Lordess because I'm a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, and Star-Lord is if you're familiar with the movie, Star-Lord is the main character there, and I chose the name Star Lordess, being female, so that's where my name came from. And the / for Hope for Humanity, a lot of you have asked me about that as well, is because when I first started this channel, I had intentions of and I still do have these intentions of it not just being a tarot channel, but also being a spiritual channel. I have intentions of, in the near future, to travel around to various you know, spiritual fairs and things like that, and go on some spiritual retreats and interview people and talk about my experiences on these retreats. So that's where the Hope for Humanity comes in. And I want to, going forward, I want to branch this channel out. I may have to do a second channel. If that's the case, then that's the case. But I will continue to do the tarot readings for you guys. Going forward, that is still the plan. I love my job. I tell people that all the time. This has become my full-time job. I love my job. I have found this an incredible part of my journey. I want to thank all of you guys again for being with me, for sticking with me, for all of your friendship. And I do love people at the heart of it. I've always really loved people. I love meeting new people. I don't like rude people, okay? I don't like people who, you know, get on your case for no reason, and people who are nasty and mean. I find that's really uncomfortable and really a waste of time. I do enjoy meeting new people. I enjoy hearing all of your stories. I'm fascinated by the human story. Maybe that's why I wanted to do this video as well, because some of you may be like me. Maybe you are fascinated by the human story, and this is just one story. This is just my story. My Uncle Bill and I used to always love watching that show Biography on A&E, and I read most of the books that I read in my days were on biographies, and I never thought that the day would come that I would be doing my own biography here, but I guess that's what it is. So guys, this is Star Lordess, aka Deborah, signing off. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week for your tarot forecast. Bye-bye for now.